So I have selected quite some books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books today that I want to recommend to you. Hi everybody and welcome back to my Booktube channel, Books with Leo. So today I'm coming to you with a very special type of video because I'm doing a recommendations video, and not just any recommendations video, I'm doing a crime recommendations video. I don't know if you guys know, but I love reading crime novels. I love the mystery, I love the whole whodunit vibe and like guessing who did it. There's loads of great mystery books out there, and today I want to share a few of them with you. Some of these books are young adult books, some of them you will definitely recognize or have heard of already. Some of them are adult books, and yeah, all of them are crime or mystery, murder related. I do read thrillers too occasionally, but I just tend to like the murder mysteries better. So that's what I'm focusing on today. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book I want to talk about, I think you all know this book, and if you don't, you've been living under a rock or you've never been on Booktube. So pick one. And that book is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This book has been immensely popular on Booktube for the past couple of years, I think, and I have still only read part 1, which is ridiculous, and I've been trying to get to the next part for such a long time. So this book is about Evie O'Neill, and she has special powers. She can touch objects, and then she knows what happened to the objects or the people surrounding, the people whose object it is. Because of this special power, she gets wrapped up in some sort of scandal in her hometown, and because of this, she gets shipped off to New York to live with her super eccentric uncle who runs a museum for the occult. And this book is set in the 1920s, so it's beautifully historically written, and it's also super funny. It has a lot of good humor and quirky characters, and Evie is just, she's quite the gal. This supernatural power that she has could possibly help solve some terrible murders that have been happening in the city of New York when she gets there, and this book is filled with mystery and also has like a whiff of the supernatural and all that beautiful historic elements to it. So it's a really cool book and one you should definitely check out if you ever have the time for it. I also have part 2 here, but I still haven't read it, so yeah, shame on me. I'll get to it someday. The next book I want to talk about is adult fiction, and this is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This was one of my favorite reads of 2019, although I didn't include it in the video that I made about my favorite books of 2019, but I definitely loved it a lot. This book is really the perfect example of some beautiful dark academia story. I love it. So this is about Alex Stern, and she has just survived a horrible murder where some of her very closest friends were murdered, and she thinks they're probably gonna charge her for the murder, even though she did not do it. But then she wakes up in the hospital and she's recruited by one of Yale's secret societies named Leigh. And in this book, there's all sorts of secret societies that do dark occult magic surrounding the University Yale. And Leigh is the one society that controls all the other societies, and these societies do rituals where they like cut people open and they do like magical things, and it's all very dark and sinister. And Alex especially is recruited because she can see ghosts, so they need her to sort of guard the rituals that are happening because she can see ghosts and she can like keep them at a distance. Someone gets murdered, and Alex thinks this has to do something with the secret societies, but she's not sure and she cannot prove it yet. And then she sort of goes out on a journey to prove that this murder has something to do with the societies and that there's more happening than you can see at first glance. Very beautifully written book. It's the first adult novel that Leigh Bardugo has written, but it's definitely one you should check out. The next book I want to talk about is also a young adult classic, and this is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This book is like Criminal Minds, but written for youth, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's about a special unit in the FBI where all sorts of teenagers with special abilities get recruited. So some of them are really good with numbers, they're really good at recognizing things, they're really good at remembering things, and the girl that we follow in this book has a special talent for reading other people's emotions, I think. So she's sort of a profiler. She's that together with another guy in that unit that's also a profiler. And then they get to solve all sorts of cool murders. But also this girl's mother was murdered as well, so there's sort of an intrinsical mystery happening too. This is a very short read. You can like fly through it, but it's a really good book if you're starting out with reading more murder mysteries, and it's definitely one I would recommend. I must say though, I didn't really like the way this series turned out at the end, like the way it carried on, and there was all of a sudden like this whole plot line about a cult and like all sorts of things happening within that, and everything was connected, and it was just a bit like, I didn't like that a lot. It was like a bit, it didn't seem realistic to me. Not that the rest of this is super realistic, like the FBI working with teenagers, but it was a bit too far off. Like, I had to suspend my disbelief a whole lot, but that was only like the third and the fourth book. So I still definitely recommend this series just because of the great beginning and a lot of beautiful suspense. So yeah. The next book I want to recommend to you all is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It is just so funny and warm, and I don't know, it makes me very happy inside, even though it's a crime novel about murders and mystery. This is also, once again, set in a school, a boarding school. Yeah, I have something with boarding schools. I don't know, I'm sorry. I've talked about this book many times on my Dutch channel as well, and the second book, I've recently read it. It's called The Vanishing Stair, and the third book is also coming out soon. I'm so pumped up. I don't know what it's called. It's something like The Hand on the Wall or something. I don't know. The cover's green. It's beautiful. I love all these covers, by the way. But okay, let's talk about the inside of the book. So this book is about Stevie Bell, and she wants to be a detective one day. And then she gets to go to Ellingham Academy, which is a school for all sorts of children with special abilities, and that can be anything. Like, you can be a great dancer, you can be like an indie filmmaker. All sorts of kids go to this school, and it's a beautiful school. It's really far away up in the mountains, and it has all these sort of hidden crooks and crannies where you can go to read and like snuggle up, and it gives me all the Hogwarts vibes, which is great. We love that. In 1936, some gruesome kidnapping and possible murders might have happened at Ellingham Academy, and one student was killed. Stevie is sure she will go there and she will investigate this and probably solve it, or possibly solve it. So she's going to this school with a goal in mind, but also Stevie has anxiety, and this book talks about mental health a whole lot too, which is a very precious thing to happen, I think, because Stevie is not defined by her anxiety, but it is a big part of her life. And as someone who has anxiety herself, I think this is just beautiful representation, and I'm really happy someone wrote a character like this into a novel. Definitely a series worth checking out. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is A Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. Some of you might know, and some of you might not know, that Robert Galbraith is actually a pen name for J.K. Rowling. Yeah, due to recent things that have happened around J.K. Rowling, I don't really support her, but I still enjoy a lot of things that she has made and created, like Harry Potter as well. There's been some creators that have been greatly outspoken about this. I'll link some videos down below that talk about this, but I will not go further into it than just what I just said, but definitely know that I do not support her beliefs, and I will not be buying any more of her books in the future. So if you want to read this, please just get it from your local library or get it online, or I don't know, get it secondhand or something, but please do not support her any further, or just don't support her beliefs, especially. Robert Galbraith. This is about a supermodel who falls off her balcony in London, and everybody thinks it's a suicide, but her brother thinks it was not a suicide. He gets Detective Cormoran Strike to look into the case, and with that comes Cormoran's assistant called Robin Ellicott. And Robin and Cormoran make a beautiful duo, and this book is just so funny. It has great humor, and I love it. And also great mystery. Like, these mysteries are always so beautifully plotted. I've read the second and the third book as well, and I think there's also a fourth one, and I definitely want to pick that one up in the future. Okay, last one already, and this is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. I love Brittany Cavallaro so much, and this book was one of my favorite books I ever read. Brittany Cavallaro has such a fun way of writing. She's just very funny, and I don't know, all her jokes make me laugh, really. This is a reimagining of Sherlock Holmes, and it's about two teens who are the descendants of the Watson and the Sherlock family. Charlotte Holmes is I love her. She's a great character. She's so Sherlock, but at the same time, she's her own person and she's a girl. I do have a trigger warning for this book about rape and a lot of sexism, but is dealt with in a really great way, to be honest. So I really love the way Brittany Cavallaro wrote this. It's a reimagining of A Study in Pink, so if any of you know what that story is about, but basically there was a murder on a school campus. Again, schools, what's with me and schools and murders? Anyway, there was a murder on campus, and it's set up exactly like a Sherlock Holmes murder, and someone is trying to set up Charlotte and Jamie Watson, but they didn't do it. So they start to investigate what's going on and what happened. Yeah, that's what this book is about. So these are all of the crime mystery recommendations that I had for you. That I had for you today. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and if you have any great crime recommendations for me, or don't, do what you feel like, I don't mind. And yeah, I'll hope to see you next time in my next video. Bye!